Hey, what's up, Exit the Matrix family? Bob here. Hey guys, I hope you're having a great day. Sorry, it's a really dark part of my route right now. I'm heading up Mountain Pass right now, so there's not much lighting up here except for the occasional car passing by. So, anyways, guys, hey, just to update you guys on Exit the Matrix, as you guys know, if you listen to my last video, I was explaining how scammer slash hacker stole Exit the Matrix, my other page, on Facebook, which most of you are probably on, and that's probably where you came here from originally. So still in the works on that. Facebook's still not, helping me out at all, and I'm probably going to have to get a lawyer at this point because it's a fraud case, and a lot of avenues I've got to go down. If any of you have dealt with this, if any of you know anybody that can help me, maybe somebody that works for Facebook or even an attorney that's dealt with fraud or, internet fraud or social media account fraud, let me know. I'm not going down without a fight. Look, folks, it's 180,000 followers on Facebook. It's a valuable site. I'm not saying I make tons of money off of it, but look, a little bit of side income. My family was budgeted for that, so it's an impact. And not only that, most importantly, we've been spreading so much truth on that page that it's valuable to humanity. We can't lose it. Look, that page was averaging anywhere from 10 to 20 million reach a month. And so not just valuable in money-wise, but more importantly, valuable in waking up humanity, information-wise. Look, folks, I've never claimed that all my theories are absolute truth. Look, nobody knows anything for sure. But I've done the best job I can formulating theories and trying to decode, all of this ancient wisdom and ancient history, and just trying to figure out how it all connects. NDEs and quantum physics, and the Genesis and the Bible and the Atrahasis and so many different things. I've been trying to find where everything connects, and that's kind of how I like to go about all this. And so, if some of you ever wondered where do I come up with this stuff, because see, a lot of people are either they love this information because it really opens their mind, like at the very least it gets them interested into searching these mysteries out, going down these rabbit holes, trying to gives them a love for that ancient writing of our ancestors, folks. I mean, come on, man. How cool is that? You're talking about cuneiform. Some of it's 6,000 years old. To be able to read that now, think about that. That's crazy. 6,000 years ago, since somebody took that little wooden stylus, and was using it to engrave clay tablets, and then bake it in a kiln. I mean, and then they got stored in libraries and probably traveled around from library to library, or maybe even in palaces and other places. I mean, ended up in museums, and eventually, thousands and thousands of years later. I mean, it's a pretty cool story, man, and to be able to read that stuff. But what's most important is those ancient stories. They give us a glimpse into our origins. Now, does that mean that, look, it's absolute truth? I'm not saying that, but it gets us closer, right? I mean, look, folks, a lot of you guys think I dislike the Bible or something. I don't. Like, look, I've already said there's a lot of truth in the Bible. Now, there's also a lot of, man-made, stuff in the Bible, and I think there's deception in the Bible too. And the deception I've spoken about is the fact that it seems as if the Judeans took Enlil and Enki from the cuneiform stories and combined them into a singular god and tried to pass it off as the creator of all. And that's what, when I read both sources next to each other, the Genesis next to the Atrahasis and the Enuma Elish, it's quite obvious that the Bible's adapted from the much older cuneiform. And it's interesting because you can see the correlation between Yahweh and Enlil and between the serpent and Enki. And it makes sense. Like, you start to realize, why the Old Testament God is schizophrenic. Like, one moment he's like the protector of mankind, and he's trying to save mankind and teach us right from wrong. And then on the other hand, he's like a warlord, and he's on like a destructive path, and he just go wipe out every man, woman, and children, and wipe out this village, and I'm going to, blow it up with, I'm going to bring flaming rocks from heaven to destroy you, like Sodom and Gomorrah and such, and sacrifice all their animals, take their children as slaves, and take their wives as concubines. I mean, that's all in the Bible, folks. I mean, I know why most Christians don't read the Old Testament. It's because it puts question marks in their head, because they start to question, like, what? I thought this is supposed to be Yeshua. Pastor Dan told me that Yeshua is Yahweh, right? The Trinity with the Holy Spirit. But yet you read the Old Testament and you're like, what the heck, man? I mean, of course, Christian apologists will say, if you question about the warlord ways of this ancient Yahweh God, right? I mean, literally, that's what Lord of Hosts means. Lord of Armies, folks. Hosts of armies. That means he's a warlord God. I mean, the creator of all? Question mark? Come on, man. So when Christians read these, the Old Testament, they start questioning, like, wait, what? I thought this was a loving God, Yeshua. I mean, how's Yeshua teach you just nothing but love, but the Old Testament God teaches nothing but retribution and revenge? I mean, I'm a jealous God just right there alone. Wait, I'm a jealous God? If it's the creator of all, who's he jealous of? And then Christians apologists will be like, well, because his children have turned against him and all. Look, folks, is Yahweh walking around on earth right now physically saying, I am God, obey me now, like proving his existence? No. Now, is Yahweh a real character or a real deity? Now, I wouldn't say an actual, well, we'll just leave deity where it is for now. But anyways, is he actually here? Is he somewhere? Is he involved in this realm still? I would say yes, probably. If not him, then his children or his grandchildren are, right? Maybe his human hybrid children are here. Maybe they've been genetically mixed into the human race over thousands of years of interbreeding and stuff. Maybe it's diluted DNA, diluted bloodline, but it's still there. Now are the Anunna, the Anunnaki, the Elohim still powers behind the scenes, behind the political powers that rule our world, behind the banking, behind the religious orders? Are they pulling the strings, of their puppets that we think are the rulers, like the Rothschilds and stuff? Perhaps they're just puppets themselves? Yes, I think that's a good possibility, folks. I think that these Council of Anunna, the Elohim, the Council of the Gods, right? The powerful ones, the shining ones, I think they're still here in some form. Now, is it the original Enki and Enlil still ruling and stuff? I don't know, but are their family bloodlines still ruling? I think absolutely yes. Okay? I think it's a very good chance that's why we can never put a thumb on who are these principalities that rule this realm. Who actually controls the families like the Rothschilds and such? Who's behind those powers, those families? Isn't it interesting how every president is connected to royal blood? Folks, come on, man. their children, their grandchildren, their great-grandchildren, and so on are still ruling in their stead. And we know that this handover of power happened, okay? It's all explained in the Sumerian kings list. It's explained in the Egyptian teachings of the end of the pre-pharaonic line, and the powers being handed down to the pharaohs, to their human children. Okay? Half children. You see this in the Epic of Gilgamesh, right? His mother was a goddess, a Sumerian on the Anunna Council. And he was, 1/3 human, 2/3 God, which means there was some mixing somewhere in his blood with human. And you see in the Sumerian kings list, you have all these Anunna gods that were ruling Earth, ruling for 30,000 years plus. And then all of a sudden you see the transition to rulers that were hybrids, that were living for like 900 years, 1,000, and then down to all of a sudden human rulers. You see the ages get cut drastically down, probably as they interbred and continue to interbreed with their human hybridized workforce that they created. That was the big thing that pissed off Yahweh, was the fact that Enki and some of the other Anunna were diddling the humans that they were working on, that they were creating, that they, that was the whole story in the Garden of Eden, or part of it. Like, Christians that actually dig into the meat of the word, they understand that it was Enki, or sorry, not, well, Enki we could say, but it was the serpent that seduced Eve. Actual, like, sexual relations, okay? Intermixing of genes. Now that might make a little sense now why Yahweh was so mad, right, in Lil? Because not only did Enki make this Adam and Eve self-aware, he just wanted simple worker slaves, but he also was interbreeding with them. I mean, they were taking them as wives. That was the whole story of the 200 fallen angels, folks. You'll find that same story in the cuneiform. And it was a story about the Agigi rebelling. And they wanted wives, because for whatever reason, I guess their women were not around, and they wanted women. And here Enki and some of the Anunna, the royal blood, were diddling around with these human women, creating offsprings, hybrids. And the Igigi were like, we want them too. So 200 of them rebelled against Enlil, the commander of Earth, and they took human women as wives and concubines. There you go, folks, the story of the fallen angels, the 200. Is it starting to make sense yet, folks? Like, look, it's always been in front of our face. But see, if you couldn't cross-reference the Bible with the cuneiform, you wouldn't have the full story. Now, whoever came on later on and wrote the book of Enoch, at least the first book, like, you guys know, right, that not all three books are from the same eras, right? I mean, the last book of Enoch is obviously a Hermetic writing. It was probably, somewhere in the Middle Ages that it was written. But the first book of Enoch, you can tell that somebody was looking at all these stories and they were trying to combine it into a story that made sense, because Genesis didn't explain everything. They went into more detail about the giants and the fallen angels, but they called them the Watchers, right? Which makes total sense, because I almost wonder if it was the Gnostics who wrote the book of Enoch, because the Gnostics seen these fallen angels, they called them the archons, that they were like almost like a vampiric energy siphoning group of powerful beings, that kind of ruled this realm for the demiurge, for the ruler of this realm, not the creator of the universe, just the creator of this realm, or at least the one that took over the power of this realm. So somebody had some insane knowledge or foresight, or maybe they had texts that we haven't found yet that they were accessing when they wrote the book of Enoch. And they couldn't put the book of Enoch in your modern Bible, folks, because it's too much information. They can't give that to the peasants. The peasants shouldn't be allowed to know any of the mystery school teachings or any of our ancient origins teachings. See, all these ancient tablets, folks, were stored away like a, what do they call those things where they put a time capsule, right? People bury these time capsules, dig them up 50 years later, and well, think of all these millions of tablets, man, that are still buried under the sands, and who knows how many libraries and vaults are still under the sand in Mesopotamia, and there's still like millions of these tablets. I mean, the ones that we have gotten are fantastic, but they haven't even translated but a small percentage of them. Folks, nobody, the churches over the last 2,000 years, I don't think they ever realized that this stuff was going to all come out eventually. I think when they wiped out the Gnostics, they wiped out the Druids, they wiped out the serpent religions, which I'm including the South American, Latin American cultures, that worship Quetzalcoatl and all that. See, when they wiped out all these cultures and these ancient teachings and religions, they thought they cleaned up the trail, right? Now they own history, right? Now they own religion. Wow, they never knew that these things were going to be uncovered from the sands of time, quite literally and figuratively speaking. But here we are. You can go read some of these tablets, folks, that are 4,000 to 6,000 years old. You can do your own research. See, the church used to always lord it over the people by ensuring that people stayed illiterate. They didn't want the peasants being smart. The only people that went to schools and universities was if you were going to be in the church or if you were, involved in government, basically, right? The governmental powers of the time. And if you weren't in one of those camps, then guess what? They didn't want you being educated. They didn't want you knowing how to read. They wanted you illiterate. They didn't want you to know how to write. And then you would go to their churches and they would tell you what to believe. See how that works, folks? But see, the modern age, the internet, these devices in our hands, these computers, now put all this stuff at our access. So nobody has an excuse for being ignorant anymore. Look, the church now can't stop you from reading these things, but they try. If you go to Pastor Dan and you ask him about the Atrahasis and any of these ancient tablets, he's going to tell you those are demonic, son. Don't you know? Those are from the line of Cain. Cain's children wrote those, okay? So you're reading the evil writings, Oh, yes, they are similar to the Bible stories, but that's because it's from the viewpoint of the children of Cain. Trust me, folks, I've had people argue me this on this point. I mean, it's unbelievable. This... people like to believe the fantastical, that the whole world was repopulated by one man and his family, right? I mean, it's unbelievable. There is a lot of interesting stuff in the Bible. And look, folks, the stories in the Bible are in the cuneiform. The Tower of Babel, Noah's flood, or honestly, it was Ziusudra's flood, originally it was Ziusudra, not Noah. The whole Genesis story, the Adam and Eve story, all of that, it's all in there, except the council of the Elohim, council of the gods in Genesis. Well, guess what? Council of the Anunna, council of the gods. El Elyon, the Most High. Well, Anu, the Most High. See, folks, I don't know how to put this because it's a touchy subject. Let's just say that a very small clan of people had access to those tablets, and they took those stories and then they wrote themselves in as the heroes in the story, and the God that they chose out of that pantheon, they made the creator of all. And because that God they chose was not a very nice God, he was a warlord, he was a mean God, they added the attributes of his brother, Enki. But then what they had to do was, because now you have two gods that you've combined into one. Well, you got to demonize now the God that you took the good aspects from, because you can't have competition to your God that you made, your God, right? Your standard. So now you got to wipe out that other God's likeness. You got to wipe out that other God's story, right? And that's exactly what they did. Like, it's insane. Like in the Atrahasis, Enlil calls for the Anunna, the council of the Anunna, to bring the flood, and he tells Enki that because Enki was that god of the Abzu, of the waters. He was the fisher king. He was literally called the fisher king. That's why he's Poseidon in the Greek pantheon. His brother told him, you got to bring the flood and wipe out humanity. They've gotten out of control. They're so loud. They're eating all the food up there. We tried to wipe them out. We tried to drop their pop down. If you get what I'm trying to say. Through famines and disease and all these things, similar to what he did to the Egyptian people. Yeah, such a great God, right? He does the greatest things to humanity you can ever imagine. Just read what he did to the Egyptians, right? For his boy Moses. So, it's quite obvious, folks. I mean, Enlil was the god that called on the flood to wipe humanity out, but yet his brother Enki was the one that went to Zeus Sudra and gave him the plans for the ark. Now he would be called Noah in the Bible. It's the same story, folks, except the difference is, in the Bible version, it's God that is the one that brings the flood and saves humanity. But in the Sumerian, it's Enlil calls for the flood, but Enki saves humanity. See what I'm saying here, folks? They combine the two gods into one. It's as simple as that. I mean, that's straightforward. I mean, any layman can figure this out. Look, folks, I'm not some guy like Wes Huff here arguing on the, oh my God, on the exact way this word was written or that word was written, and this variation and that variation, and this ancient text is missing this little piece, and that ancient text was written in a certain scribal way. And I mean, all this. Look, folks, just read the Atrahasis and read Genesis. You'll see it's quite obvious, because the Atrahasis is at least 1,000 years older than the Bible, if not even older than that, perhaps 2,000 years older. And you'll see the simple fact that of what happened to our story. And then you'll start to realize that religion is one of the gatekeepers to information to humanity. See, religion was never designed to help humanity. It was designed to control humanity, to limit our access to the truth. So anyways, guys, hey, I'm going to go ahead and roll. I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you think? Do you think Yahweh is a combination of Enki and Enlil from the Atrahasis, from the various cuneiform tablets that, look, folks, they're both, Enlil and Enki were the second and third highest ranking Anunna. So they're in a lot of the ancient cuneiform. So, I mean, you'll find, trust me, they're in hundreds and hundreds of tablets. So, like, there's a lot here to unpack. And, Enki in the World Order is an interesting one. It literally talks about the Matrix. I kid you not. I'm going to do a teaching on that one sometime. I found that on my own. I never even heard anybody bring it up until randomly the other day. I think Matthew LaCroix actually referenced that tablet, which was the first time I've ever heard anybody else even mention that tablet or reference that. So that was kind of cool. He's somebody that I like, following some of his work. So anyways, guys, Facebook is still out of my control. I'm trying to get it back, ETM Facebook, but we're going to keep cranking here on YouTube. We're going to start doing some lives. In fact, I may do one this afternoon when I get home from work. We'll see. I'm trying to get caught up on some stuff, and I need to send some more forms over to email or over to Facebook and emails and such. So keep pressuring them, but we'll see. But stay tuned, folks, and please share Exit the Matrix. Let's build this platform, and then when we get Facebook back, we'll build YouTube up more, so we can just continue to keep teaching people this stuff. Just this simple stuff. Look, I just want the layman to understand this stuff. I'm not a scholar. I'm not a linguist. I'm not a professional. I'm just a dude that reads tablets and reads, the Bible and reads all these ancient things and studies quantum physics and near death experiences and all this kind of stuff. And, you start to connect all the dots. That's it. It's not that hard. I mean, you'll find a giant web that all connects together. And I just want people to see that, and look, I'm not trying to ruin anybody's faith. I'm not trying to, ruin somebody going to church or not. Hey, you do whatever you want, man. You believe whatever you want. If you believe in your heart that the Bible is absolute truth and that Yeshua is the creator of all and he came in a, human form, hey, have at it, man. I'm not going to put that down. And I have no problem with Yeshua. I love Yeshua. He's our brother. Okay. I love his teachings. I do not love the church that was created in his name, or at least in the construct of Jesus Christ that the Romans, brought forth, right? The Caucasianized Yeshua, that was represented as more of a Greek, and then an actual like Semitic person, an actual Arab, blue eyes and, light brown hair and stuff. I mean, come on, man. But anyways, folks, it's kind of funny. It's interesting though. But hey, man, people love a good story, right? And people love not feeling responsible for their own education. People love just being told what to think. The few people out there that can think for themselves, the true truth searchers, are the ones that we're looking for, right? That's the ones that we're connecting with and teaching and learning with, right? So anyways, guys, if you want to know how you can help exit the matrix out, support my work, or just network with me, become a friend, personal friend, I do accept donations for my time on Zoom. We do one-on-one, half an hour, even more than that if you'd like. I've made a lot of good friends through this, and a lot of times I'm the one being taught, because a lot of times people don't have anybody to talk to. Imagine that me and you can just spit about this stuff for an hour. Just have a good time talking. My time for your help, for your support. So the people that have done it, they would tell you that it was well worth the time, that we had a great time. And a lot of these people book me on a regular basis. So, and they're very intelligent people. I haven't had anybody that's done a one-on-one Zoom with me yet that's not intelligent, that isn't an open, like a free thinker, so a truth searcher. So I appreciate that. So anyways, guys, I'm going to go ahead and roll here. You guys have a great day. I love you guys. I appreciate you. I'll talk to you later.